Good morning to you. Mark Sept with HurricaneTrack.com here. Hurricane Sally, that's what we're tracking here, right? We're going to keep an eye on the other stuff in the tropics, sure, but this is mostly about Hurricane Sally this morning. 85 mile per hour hurricane, Category 1, but we need to put the category aside and look at this in terms of impacts and really emphasize what those impacts are going to be. I'm going to show you some of those impacts right now. We have cameras out there. We have a weather station, so I can actually show you. I can put my money where my mouth is, so to speak. So let's get right into it, shall we? All right, the latest here from the National Hurricane Center. This is the most important part, in my opinion, followed very closely by rainfall. This is the storm surge potential forecast area. All right, so this is the peak surge, and this is all just potential. This is not exactly what's going to happen. Storm surge is very much related to where one of these things makes landfall, how strong it is, what the radius of maximum winds are, the shape of the coastline. There's a lot of factors, but in general, the storm surge values anywhere from 1 to 3 feet on the far eastern side, 1 to 3 feet on the far western side. But then you get into areas like Lake Bourne, Mississippi coast, Mobile Bay, and you're talking about storm surge that is dangerous to the point where it can kill you. 6 to 9 feet. I don't know too many people that can stand up in 6 to 9 feet of water without it being a problem. This will also be a long duration storm surge. It's going to come and stay for a while. And then down here along the areas from Gulf Shores and points east, 4 to 7, 2 to 4 from the Alabama-Florida border over to Okaloosa-Walton County line. All right, so storm surge, my number one concern. It's already coming up, and depending on the track that Sally takes, it's moved along like this and it's going to turn. You know, does it come right up into Mobile Bay? Does it come a little bit more over to the west and then come up into the border area between Alabama and Mississippi? We don't know for sure, but that's going to make a big difference. You drive that surge right up Mobile Bay, and that could be a huge, huge problem. The other guaranteed problem is the rainfall, and we're talking anywhere from 10 inches, which is this area I'm outlining in blue, 10 to 15. Then the area in the pink is 15 to 20 inches, and that's going to cover a pretty large area, and that includes these areas here in the panhandle of Florida. All right, so Pensacola and Destin, you know, we're talking a lot of rain along the I-10 corridor through here. Not good at all. Potentially very devastating freshwater flooding, and then the heavy rain will spill into and up into portions of the deep south, interior Alabama, Georgia, maybe upstate South Carolina, 6 to 10 inches. And I got to tell you, you know, if you don't understand rainfall and you think, you know, why is everybody making a big deal about this hurricane? Just ask the folks in North Carolina. Florence made landfall as a Category 1 2 years ago and was the costliest natural disaster hurricane in North Carolina's history. And it was because of the rainfall. Catastrophic flooding is possible. I mean, really, we cannot estimate. You don't want to underestimate how bad the rainfall can be. So, you know, there's not much you can do except be prepared mentally, that try to say, okay, look, I'm going to take this seriously. And we don't know exactly where all that heavy rain is going to fall. But that's really painting a very ugly picture. You have a major travel corridor through here with Interstate 10. You know, this is all going to be disrupted. And that's going to be a really, really big problem. Southern Alabama, extreme southeast Mississippi, and parts of the western Florida panhandle, that rainfall, a very, very big problem. So the latest stats on Sally this morning, pressure's down to 983, so it's not too terribly intense. The wind has come down some to 85 miles per hour. And again, we really need to understand the context of this. It's 85 mile per hour wind just blowing on the Gulf of Mexico, piling that water up into places like Mobile Bay, the Mississippi Sound, and the Gulf waters of Alabama, and it's just constant. And this thing's only moving at 2 miles per hour. There's plenty of warm water for this to keep churning up. The water gets fairly shallow close to the coast, especially the Mississippi Sound, and so the upwelling is not quite the same. And it's going to come in very slow. The tree damage is going to be ridiculous because you get all this heavy rain that's just going to flood the area, loosen up the soils. Trees are going to lay over more than just snapping. You need to understand that. In Laura, a lot of trees snapped because the wind was so strong, Category 4. This being a Category 1, the trees are going to try to, some of them are going to snap, make no mistake. Big branches are going to snap off, but the root balls are going to be loosened and these trees are just going to lay over. So we're going to have problems with people in homes, whether they are mobile homes, double wides, single wides, or even the more traditional stick-built houses that might be more substantial. It's not going to matter. Large trees, and you know the Deep South here has these beautiful oak trees and some hardwoods and softwoods, a lot of pines, and these trees are going to be more susceptible to just laying over right onto people's houses. And so if you don't feel comfortable, and you need to keep that in mind, you might think, well, I'm up here in Foley, Alabama, and I don't think I'm going to have any problem with storm surge, and maybe the rain could be an issue, but I got a lot of trees around my house. Well, those trees might lay down on your house. And if they fall at a good enough clip, they can crash through and cause injury or even death. Seriously. So you might want to consider leaving and going to a hotel up in Montgomery or something if you live in an area with a bunch of trees. The trees are going to block the roads. It's going to make recovery difficult. This is going to be a nightmare. It really is. So we went over the graphics again. The storm surge and the rainfall here are the two main areas and impacts that I'm most concerned with the wind being, not quite as concerned with the wind, except what I just described there with the possibility of trees being laid over. So day 1, day 2, day 3, you can see the pink here is the high risk of flash flooding. That's very, very serious. Moderate risk elsewhere. That's also, if this was severe weather, and rain is severe, come on, it's not as dramatic as a tornado. I get it. Or big hailstones. But the pink is bad, okay? This is day 1. And then you see here day 2. And day 3. That all moves into the upstate of South Carolina. And a moderate risk up there where you have the hill country and parts of Georgia. The rainfall is very, very dangerous. Doesn't seem like it. It's refreshing. We listen to rain on audio soundtracks and whatever to try to make us calm and relax, and too much of it can be a problem. All right, so satellite imagery, a couple of things that I am noticing. This sort of sharp, rounded edge is a little bit of a good sign because that shows me that the outflow is restricted to some extent, but we still have very deep convection and near the center of circulation right in here. And I wonder, is this a trick of the satellite or is that the eye? Hard to tell. Hard to tell. We'll get visible satellite images soon enough. But at this point, it's going to be a hurricane and it's going to move up here somewhere in the vicinity of a landfall, anywhere from Dauphin Island, maybe the Mississippi-Alabama border towards Mobile Bay. Now, it does matter where it makes landfall because of that right front quadrant in terms of who gets the storm surge. Is it worse? Let's say it comes in right up into Mobile Bay here, then areas to the east, including the bay, would typically get the worst surge because they have onshore flow. For those of you in eastern Louisiana over here, and in fact, let me just go over to the Google map. That'll help because it makes things clearer. So it really depends on where this makes landfall. So a track, it's been coming along to the west, northwest, etc. So if it turns, it comes across Dauphin Island and heads off in this direction, you're going to pump a lot of water in that right front quadrant up into Mobile Bay. And then as this goes by, that water will come out this way, and you're going to have surge on the east side. So it's really complicated. And that's why I shouldn't try to second guess it. You know, from Spanish Port to Mobile proper, Daphne, Fairhope, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, Dauphin Island, of course, Bayou La Batre, and then areas maybe upstream could be really problematic as that surge gets pushed up from there. All right. So, and then all the rainfall. And I mentioned, you know, the I-10 corridor. Wow. I mean, it does not take a Category 4, Category 3 to cause major problems. But you folks over here from Biloxi and Gulfport and points west, I'm not nearly as concerned about impacts as I am to areas over here. It's not to say there won't be any, but you're going to be on the west side, and eventually, as this gets closer, your flow will be offshore. And that's good because that'll push the water away from the shore. And the same thing will be true over here in Louisiana. Eventually your wind will come offshore as the track of Sally comes up, something like that. The wind in here, of course, will be onshore. And that's worse, obviously. All right? So we've got our systems out there, and through the HurricaneTrack Insider, our crowdfunding, which is supported by Patreon over here. What do we got? Well, here's our tracking map. And this is what I was talking about. I am very proud of this. This is what the power of crowdfunding can do. One of our supporters, there's the thermometer over there in the UK. I wonder if that's his. His name is Will Woodgate. He put this together for us pro bono. He, didn't charge us anything, just trying to help. And what we've got here, I'm going to zoom in. You see all those little camera icons? Some of these cameras are permanent. We have a pair of them in the Virgin Islands, one in Rodanthe, North Carolina, one out in the desert in Pahrump. But we also put these cameras up very specifically for hurricanes and other severe weather events. And we've got a camera system over here in Gulfport. And this is what it looks like at the harbor this morning. Water level is coming up a little bit, as you can see. Some of these docks here getting submerged right there. The waves, though, not too problematic. It's just nice and calm, almost like a mill pond in Gulfport Harbor at the Gulfport Marina. And I also have a camera that we set up with my team and I yesterday over here in Dauphin Island. And a really nice homeowner gave us permission to mount the camera on their property. This is looking back towards the east here. And you can see the Gulf of Mexico right there. Overwash, as we call it, starting to spill in. And this is just going to get worse and worse. But this is what our crowdfunding allows us to do. This is what we do with your money. When we say, can you please help support this project? It helps to put these cameras out. We're going to put more. We're getting ready to leave after I upload this video, and we're going to put more. Then we have, of course, the weather station, which is sitting on top of the bridge. And you can click on that, and it gives you the stats. And the wind right now gusting to 47 miles per hour. This is, again, what you help. That entire weather station, $3,000, funded by our crowdfunding group through Patreon. So we also have the digital dashboard. That's what this looks like. And these cameras will all fill in. Again, there's Gulfport. There's just multiple ways to take advantage of what we're doing. But this is what we do when we ask for your support, and there you go. This is what it looks like in action. These are all the people that are supporters. How can you join? Again, there's a look at the weather station, 44 miles. But this updates every minute, by the way, real time. Patreon.com/HurricaneTrack. The link is in the description of today's video, but it's patreon.com. You can see it right there, /HurricaneTrack. And at the $10 level, you get access to all of the live cameras and more. There are other levels if you want to have other benefits. It's tier-based. There's different levels for people that have different means. I know it's difficult times right now. And I figure $10, we don't go to the movies anymore. $10 seems to be a good medium. We've got a great following. I have to talk about it because that's what we fund. How else do I pay for this? I'm not Bruce Wayne where I have unlimited money. and we're doing some really great things with it. Scientific data that we're collecting, the live cameras, even putting GoPro cameras out there that are not streaming live, that just record everything for 36 hours. We go pick those up later, and we get this great historical record of what happened. We see it from a scientific perspective. We share this information with local emergency management. I'm literally getting ready to leave here in a little while and go work with Gulf Shores Police Department. Remember them from Hurricane Ivan, a long time ago. But that's what this is all about. It's a big community effort, and it's my job. All right, and thank you for letting me do my job. And it hopefully affects the greater good. Even this graphic here, crowd-funded, crowd-supported, whatever you want to call it. It's the crowd, and it's wonderful. So thank you all for helping out very, very much. All right, I am done for now. We will be live from the vehicle on the YouTube feed. That's always going to be available at no charge. What we do is to try to serve the greater good. And so, yes, the YouTube feed will be up in just a little bit. We'll be out and about working today to set up more camera systems in and the Mobile Bay area, Gulf Shores, and Fort Morgan, I do believe. So stay tuned. All right, thanks as always for tuning in. I appreciate it. Stay safe out there, please. My goal is to keep you alive, number one, and hopefully mitigate property damage, number two. All right, have a good rest of your Tuesday. I am Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com. I'll see you again once we're out and about on the road tracking down Hurricane Sally.